everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Think Tank Thursday. I am Candi Kelley, and I'm thrilled to be with you this week. Thank you for coming. Before we begin, we want to thank our 2023 Think Tank sponsors. We have Simnox, Redemption Plus, Roller, Betson, and Delta Strike. We appreciate their support, which helps us offer you new episodes as we release them. So thank you to them. As you all know, Trainertainment likes to take a little bit of time away from the doing and spend some time thinking. And so on Think Tank Thursdays, we like to think about all types of things, from new topics and trends to maybe new events that are coming. And so this week we have a great guest who's letting us know about a smaller industry event that if it's not already on your calendar, it definitely should be. So why don't we jump in and meet them today? Hi, Danny. Thanks for coming and joining us. Why don't you take a few minutes and tell everyone else who may not know who you are, how could they not know who you are, and what you do in the industry?
I'm sure there are plenty of people who may not know who I am. I'll first explain it. My name is Danny. I'm the VP of Business Development at CreativeWorks. Now, CreativeWorks, we create powerful emotions and memories through immersive attractions. We help family entertainment centers get people off the couch and into their venue with amazing experiences they can't get at home. And my role as the VP of Business Development is I oversee our marketing, sales, and project management teams to help deliver amazing experiences to operators all over the country and all over the world.
Very cool. Now, what's a little bit of your background? How'd you come to work at CreativeWorks?
Well, it's one of those things where I accidentally found my way into the industry and never left. I got very fortunate. Yeah, that is a very common theme amongst this industry. I got really fortunate. At 15 years old, there was a laser tag facility that was opening up in the town that I lived in. And I thought, wow, that sounds way cooler than working at fast food or a grocery store or something. So I applied and started working there at 15. Did that through high school and college. After college, ended up going down to Disney World, working operations there. After a couple of years at Disney World, I ended up on the vendor side of the entertainment industry with CreativeWorks, and I've been on the vendor side ever since.
Very cool. It's definitely an industry that you fall in love with and never want to leave.
Yeah, it's literally the fun industry.
So I brought Danny on because there is an awesome event that's coming up in September that CreativeWorks has put on for quite some time. So let's give just the rundown of what's the name of the event, when is it, where is it going to be, and then I just want to dive a little bit more into that event if you don't mind today, Danny.
Yeah, so the event is called Amusement 360. It is September 19th through the 21st in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it is for both existing operators as well as new startup entrepreneurs looking to get into the space. And it's a great educational conference for all of them to come together. And we'll hit a little bit more on those details in a minute. But I think you said you wanted to ask a couple questions about the history of this.
Yeah, because it didn't stop. It hasn't always been called Amusement 360. That's an evolution of this event. So I thought it would be fun to go back into the history of how it began and then why is it, how it has evolved to being Amusement 360.
Yeah, so it started, this educational program started as Laser Tag 360 back in August of 2011. So we've been doing it for quite a long time. We're just now hitting 12 years essentially that we've been doing this program. And we started it because laser tag for us it was the attraction that we started with as a company in 1997 when we were founded. And through today, it's still one of the most important attractions to our company and to the industry. And we felt at the time we were providing these laser tag attractions, but we wanted to empower operators to be able to both open it and operate it as efficiently and profitably as possible. And so we started an event that was all about helping them do that. And over time, it grew and changed and evolved in so many ways. And until, one day about 5 years ago, we looked around and we said, there's still, laser tag is still an important component of a lot of entertainment venues today. And it's an important component of what we do. But the program itself encompasses so much about an entertainment venue. We decided to rebrand it. We called it Amusement 360, and we've continued growing it from there.
I know one of the reasons I wanted you to go into that is because I think there still sometimes can be that old preconception that, it's still about laser tag, and I don't have a laser tag. I don't plan to have a laser tag, so I'm not I'm not the audience for that. And I
Mhm.
think that is so wrong when we're talking about this particular event.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. When we look at the topics that we have at this event, and it's, Creative Works, we have a couple of topics that we speak on. None of them are about our company, by the way. We happen to be a vendor that hosts an event, but we don't have a single presentation about Creative Works. It's all about empowering operators and startups. So we do some, whether that's about understanding your demographics and your attractions, things like that, or some generosity and leadership pieces. But we bring in 15 to 18 different guest speakers, and they'll hit on things like PR and marketing and feasibility studies and
Well,
sales. Yeah, sales and training and communication tactics and all these different ways that can help provide an education to allow you, whether you are an owner, an operator, a manager, a GM, to have a more well-rounded education and create a better experience for your customers and a better experience for your employees.
no, it is definitely an event to go to have, like, if you want to go to one event and have a little bit more intimate, like one-to-one with a lot of vendors that are important vendors around the different, whether it's your food program or your sales program or your laser tag program, it's a really great event to get to talk to some of the top ones in our industry for providing a wealth of different topics, like you said. And you're not competing with the 50,000 other people at some of the other larger trade shows. So I think there's a cap to Amusement 360 there.
There is. And what's interesting? We didn't know what that cap was going to be until our most recent event in April. We discovered that cap because we had been consistently hitting kind of similar numbers for a couple of years on attendance, and we smashed our record, and we had over 110 attendees. And that's a split between both the existing operators and the new startups. And we looked around at our space and we're like, okay, now we have an idea of where we're going to cap this, because we were busting at the gills, but it was such a good experience because having that many people in the room who care about advancing their own businesses and advancing their own leadership and being able to elevate the rest of the people on their staff, and the energy that brought to the room was amazing. And it's the kind of thing that we can all do research online. We can all watch webinars. We can all watch a Think Tank Thursday like this, and they're super valuable, but there's nothing like being in the room and experiencing that one-to-one interaction.
I completely agree. I'm so glad you guys decided. I know that you provide recordings and things like that for people, but I'm so glad you guys decided to really go back to the in-person event.
Yeah, the virtual was something we were basically required to do. And then even after we came back to in person, we offered hybrid for it was 1 or 2 years. And I think that was good for a time. And we're back at the point where we don't have a hybrid virtual component anymore. It's everyone in the room with each other face to face. And the importance of that for us has just been, there's nothing that can replicate it, and there's nothing that can replace it.
Agreed. Well, I'm sure all of you out there who are watching are like, okay, you've talked about how great this event is. Danny, well, before we go into some tips of getting the most out of the event, tell people how they actually register for this event.
Sure. It's super simple. Amusement360.com, amusement360.com. Click on the event page. It gives you all the information about when it is, the topics we're going to hit on, the agenda, the speakers, all of the sponsors, and everything you need to know. And then there's a register button that you're able to register. And for us, it's one of those things where the registration fee itself is low. It's only $99 to register yourself. We want it to be accessible for anyone in the industry, because we know you have to invest your time and energy through the flights and hotels or anything else like that to be in the space. So we want to make the ticket itself something that's kind of you don't have to think twice at all about it.
And for some of those out there, you can contact me and I can find out from our sales department if we have a couple of scholarships left over, because we are a sponsor of Amusement 360. So full transparency there. And so because of that, we have some scholarships to send some people who could really benefit from the programming that they have there. So Candi,
Absolutely.
and I'll happily hook you up with one if we have any left.
Yeah, reach out to Trainertainment. They'll hook you up.
Yes. Okay. What I really want to dive into is, we pay the $99, we make the travel arrangements, we go, but sometimes we don't really go to these events, if you know what I mean. We don't really get the most out of them that we can. And so being someone who's been so like intimately involved with the production of this event for so many years, thought it'd be good to talk about like the top tips that you see from watching people come and go over the years to really get the most out of this particular event, so they can start planning now to do that. And so that's what I want to talk about. Are you good with that, Danny?
Let's do it.
All right. So where would you start? What would you like? What's the first tip that you would give somebody as they're making their preparations to come?
It would be related to what you just said of be fully present, right? That's one of the reasons why events are a lot of times better than a webinar. Like I love webinars. I register for a lot of webinars and I watch them, but it's also very easy to do email or to talk to people while it's happening, right? Being in the event space alone is already a huge jump from that. But in addition to that, while you're there, try to block off the time on your calendar. Don't schedule meetings with people that are back at the facility. Be in the room doing those things, because if you're going to spend the time to be there, you might as well maximize it as much as you possibly can. And a portion that goes into maximizing your time is when you're watching any of those educational presentations or operator interviews or panel discussions, whatever happens to be occurring on stage at that time, take lots and lots and lots of notes, because it can be very easy in the moment to go, that's a really good idea. I'm totally going to remember that. If you don't write it down, you absolutely will not remember it, because after the 2.5 days of that education, there's going to be so much that's happening in your brain and swimming around that you'll forget a lot of it. And the notes portion is very important for one of the frameworks we provide at the end of the event for how to take all the things that you've learned and prioritize them on what's most important. We kind of walk through an exercise that makes that really simple, and without notes, it'll be impossible.
You know, on top of that, and I love that you guys do that framework at the end of this event, but it's like a 2-day event, but block off like 3 days from your work schedule. Take that third day and really like review your notes, look at the prior, like what you brought back with the framework, after things get sink in a little bit, and really like make a couple of action plans. You're going to hear so much, you're going to want to do it all. Don't ever do that. Pick your couple of priorities and then make an action plan to get some of that stuff done. But too often we take the 2 days off, we go to this event, we come back in, like our flight's landing at 7 p.m. one night and we're back at work at 8 a.m. the next morning. And when do we really sit down and make the plans for what we're about to do? And so I would just, if you have the ability, take like a half a day or a full day and really absorb that and make your plans from what you learned.
And I would venture to argue that everyone has the ability. It's whether or not they give themselves the permission to do it.
Very good point. Very good point. All right. So I'm going to be where my feet are. I'm going to really be present. I'm going to not take meetings from my location. And I'm going to take lots of notes. But you guys have a lot of choices for the notes, the presentations, right? Like how should I make those choices?
So yeah, on the second day of the event, we do a split track where you have the option of any point in time having 2 different presentations that you can view. And number one, I would say, is they're split into 2 tracks generally. One is generally geared for existing operators and one is generally geared for new startups. And I say generally because there's still stuff in both that's applicable. But if you are an existing operator, don't look at the existing operator track and say, that's the track I have to do. Every single presentation, give yourselves the opportunity to jump back and forth. Look at the agenda and find which topics, which presentations are going to be most valuable to your business right now, to you as an owner and operator, and pick those and really focus on what speaks to you and what's going to engage with you. Now, that being said, if you have multiple people from your business that are attending this event, which happens a lot, and I think it's a great thing, something that can be very helpful is if there is a couple presentations happening at once that both are maybe applicable, split up. Have one of you watch one and one watch the other, and then you're able to take those notes. In addition to that, every single presentation through the event is recorded, and we provide those replay recordings for all of the attendees that were there in person. That way, if there's anything that you saw that you want to rewatch, you've got that ability. Or if there's anything that you missed that you want to make sure you have the chance to see, you can do that as well. So being able to pick the ones that speak most to you, split up at times if it makes sense, and go back and watch the replays afterwards.
Awesome. And like you said, those tracks are general, but I work with a client that has been open for a while, but has a plan to open a laser tag facility, part of their business soon. Well, that may be in the new operator track or startup track, but I'm an existing owner. And so there's lots of examples like that. Or food. I know a lot of people are upgrading food soon.
Mhm.
And so it may be what is considered a startup track to, what do I need to look at in food costs and to make those decisions for menu design, or you guys have had a lot of topics around food over the years. So I don't remember which one is this year, but I may want to jump over there and catch what are the trends in food, because we've just been a snack bar up until this point, and we're about to elevate in 2024, and I've got to make my plans now.
That's absolutely true. And one of the things that also can happen is, let's say there's a topic that you are sitting in on and you feel, well, I know this, or maybe I've seen a version of this presentation before, or I feel pretty solid on this topic, like we do it pretty well in our business. I would say stay present and take notes anyway, because you never know what is the one nugget of information that can be a turn the dial on being able to increase your revenue or profitability, or turn the dial on being able to decrease costs, whatever that might be. You never know where that nugget of information is going to come from. And so even if you feel that you're really good on a particular topic or a particular area of your business, stay engaged and continue to take those notes, because you don't know where it's going to come from.
I also think that we don't necessarily hear information every single time it's presented to us. And so the information may have been presented to me 10 times in different ways or formats in the past, but I wasn't ready for it. For whatever reason, where I was in my business, where I was in my own career path, was not ready for that bit of information. But this time I heard it and it just blew my mind. And now I'm going to run with what I heard.
What's funny when that happens is a lot of times people go, why has no one ever told me this before? And it's like, I'm sure a bunch of people have told you. Sometimes it's where you're at mentally and what you're able to receive. Sometimes you just need the right person to deliver it in the right way. And sometimes there's a phrase I really like: we need to be reminded a lot more than we need to be told. And we maybe have been reminded 3 or 4 times, but on that 5th one, that's when it all clicks and we all of a sudden go, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to implement that now.
Yeah. Yep, I'm sure. It's happened to me plenty of times. The other thing that I wanted to one of the tips that I think you'd agree with is there's a lot of great people who come to this event. And I know you're going to talk a little bit about the vendor side, but just peers, like people. One of the things that we sometimes feel as operators, that you're in a silo, no one else is going through the exact same struggle as you. And that's just not the case. And so meet people, introduce yourself to the people who are sitting next to you in these presentations. Like, actually seek out people that you can form just a friendship or an acquaintance, that you can maybe connect on LinkedIn or switch email addresses, or be like, yes, we've gone through that. I'll send you what we learned about that. But there's a lot of people who are either new and coming up, so you can be a mentor for somebody, but you can also find somebody who it will help you.
That's one of the things that I love most about our industry. When you look among the owners and operators of venues, everyone is so open and willing to share, because the likelihood of you being in their market and being a competitor is very, very slim. And because of that openness and willingness to share, it creates this amazing community that we have amongst operators. When I go to events, whether it's a smaller educational event like an Amusement 360, or it's the larger shows like a Bull Expo, IAPA, or Amusement Expo, it's almost like a family reunion with some people coming together and lots of hugs and lots of high fives. And it's really exciting. And part of that is built from the networking, right? We build in a lot of time in the schedule, whether it's breaks, lunches, evening offsite networking and events, and fun on the bus rides. There's all these pockets of space that we have built in for that networking time, because we understand how valuable it is for entrepreneurs and operators to network with one another as peers, and also for those who are operators and vendors to be able to meet one another and find out how certain vendors can help you solve business challenges, to help you overcome things, to help you hit goals. And so we build in a lot of that into the schedule because we know how crucial and important that networking time is, and how important it is to foster and build the community, and allow us to, the cliche is a rising tide raises all ships, and we want everyone to be on the rise.
You just hit on something that I think we should hit here. Meet people, meet peers, but you talked about vendors too. And so the lineup for speakers is amazing for Amusement 360. And so let's say that you're in the audience and you're like, oh, I really want to ask them more about that. Well, go seek out those vendors in those networking times, or try to at least set up a schedule with them of a meeting afterwards, or once you guys get back or something. Because if you wait till you get back, you may forget, what was the guy's name that did marketing or PR, was a good lawyer, any of the things that you may forget exactly who it is. So go set it up, go seek out those vendors immediately in the next networking.
Yeah, I think that's really important, right? You've got all of these people in the same room, in the same space, and we all want to help the industry get better. Whether they're a vendor, a new startup entrepreneur, or an existing operator, everyone wants the same thing, is to help the industry get better and help everyone improve their businesses. And being able to identify, hey, who are the vendors while I'm here in the same room? Do I want to spend time with? Do I want to ask questions during the event? And set up those times to be able to do that. And even if, let's say, for example, you have an entertainment venue already and you're interested in eventually adding laser tag. You don't know when that's going to happen and you're not ready to make the decision yet, but take this time to start your research, right? You've got multiple laser tag manufacturers for the equipment in the room. Spend time to meet with them and understand their equipment. They literally have it in the space. Try it on, hold it, all those different things. Do your research now, so that whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year down the line, when you're ready to say we're doing laser tag, you've already done your research and the decision's made. You don't have to at that moment go, oh, well, I want to add laser tag, but I haven't done any research yet. Let's start that process. The earlier that you do it, the more success and seamless you're going to set up the process for later on.
Completely agree. And I think by pushing people to do that, we want this whole industry to be amazing. And some of that is thinking about your growth plans now. And so when you think about, oh, I would love to add laser tag, what does that take on? The event in itself pushes you to think about your future and where you want to be and how you want to improve.
I will, if it's okay with you, drop a teaser of a couple things that we're going to cover at the Amusement 360. So when operators or startups are thinking about their vision in the future, a lot of times we think about growth. That's a big part of, how do I grow my revenue? How do I make it bigger? And we like, as humans, to overcomplicate things. But when it comes down to it, there are literally only 3 ways. There are 3 methods to actually grow a business. And we talk about what those are. So just a little teaser. If you want to learn more about that, check out the event.
Very cool. So you alluded to this and what you were saying about meeting people, but you guys do a really good job at what I'm going to call the extracurriculars because I could just come to the educational components of Amusement 360. But if I really just do that, I really am missing out on a lot. So Can you give people some of the examples of things you guys have done in the past? Or I don't know if you want to break out what you're doing this time, or if that's still top secret, but what else they can participate in and to get the most out of this event?
Sure. And I think I like the way you put that as extracurriculars, because what can happen is, at the end of a long day of education, you may feel really tired and exhausted and say, I just want to go back to the room and veg out and just let my brain just kind of chill for a minute. And I understand that feeling totally. Push through it anyway and enjoy these extracurriculars, because it allows you to experience that community. It's a lot more fun. You do even more networking, and it just creates a more well-rounded, full experience for you. So one of the things that we will be doing is one of my favorite things that I love doing is giving people a tour of our Creative Works theme factory, where they get to see how we design, fabricate, and build all the cool props and pieces that we make for every attraction, whether it's laser tag or mini golf or virtual reality or escape rooms or anything else. And that tour is just a lot of fun. It's not often that people get to see what a foam sculptor does, to be able to sculpt props out of foam before we then hard coat them and then send them into the paint department to get painted up, and murals and all these different things that most people don't get to see. And they go, oh my gosh, this is just an amazing thing. I never thought about all the things that happen behind the scenes to make this a reality.
And
so that's
for
one of the
anybody who has been to Amusement 360 in the past, you guys moved recently. So this is a brand new tour for if you think you've seen it before.
Yes, we officially moved into the space on the production side of things last August, and we moved into the office side, I believe it was late October. And so there's only been one Amusement 360 event so far that has seen the tour of the full brand new facility the way it is right now. And it is very, very, very different from our old buildings in multiple amazing ways. And it is a really, really great experience. And I think that so many people say that was worth the day one, and that tour alone was worth my time here. And then they get another day and a half of other things to put on top of that. And then the other piece, and we're finalizing exactly what it's going to be. Actually, this week that we're recording this, we're finalizing it. So I can't share the details yet, but essentially the second night is we take everyone off site, out of the event space. We have this amazing hotel and event space, like a brand new Embassy Suites, huge event space. We take over the whole thing. We like people getting out of that space to kind of get a fresh perspective on things. We're essentially going to take you off site, go somewhere we can have dinner, drinks, and a fun time. And that's really what it comes down to, and facilitating more of the networking, facilitating more of the fun, since that's what this industry is all about, and letting people kind of let loose a little bit.
Very exciting. So yeah, I think you covered some of the tips that I would suggest in coming to Amusement 360. Are there any last advice that you would give anybody as they're thinking about whether, or your last convincing that this is an event you should put on your calendar and definitely come to?
So full disclosure, it's a biased opinion because it's our event. If you're thinking to yourself and considering going, the answer is yes, go. We have talked to so many people who they've considered going and then didn't, considered going and then didn't, for event after event after event. And when they finally did go, they go, I cannot believe I waited this long. This has been so helpful for me, for my business, maybe for my GM I brought along with me, whatever the case is. If it's a consideration, make it happen. We can always find a dozen different reasons why we shouldn't go to an event, whether it's ours or anybody else's. Fill in the blank of Amusement 360 with any event at all. There's always reasons why you shouldn't or can't go. But we've seen time and time again, when people make the time in their calendar, they show up, they're present, they network, they take notes, and they learn, they walk away empowered with a lot of tools and a lot of knowledge to make themselves and make their businesses better. And I get it. We're all busy. We all have so many things going on. But that old adage, if you don't take time, if you don't take time to work on your business instead of in your business, you're going to stay stuck in your business. And this is an opportunity for you to step back. If you feel like you're in the weeds, if you feel like you've got so much going on, take a couple days off, come to an event like this, and be able to experience the community and learning to take things to a new stratosphere.
Yes. And as Trainertainment, one of our core values is intentional learning. And we think to be that type of business owner and leader that, you can be, you got to know more than what you already know in your head. And so always looking for those opportunities to learn more, to learn from others, to have good examples or inspiration from somebody else. If you don't take those, then man, it becomes kind of a drag to do what we do every day. And that's the inspiration and the motivation comes from seeing what is possible. And, oh, these people are going through the same issue too. And that's how they solved it. I think I can try that in my space too. And man, to come back, if your cup is on that almost empty phase, and we've all been there before, where it's kind of empty, but we're still just going through the motions each day, you'll come back with a full cup and re-energized and re-motivated to really work on your business. So
Well
Uh,
said. I have nothing to add to that.
um, so Danny, it's been a while since I've had you on Think Tank, but we like to end Think Tank with signature question every
Mhm.
time. And I don't know what your answer is going to be because we haven't been able to connect in a bit. So what are you doing lately on a consistent basis to grow yourself?
I've been thinking about this. There's a term that one of my colleagues shared with me recently that I really liked. We were talking about the work that goes on behind the scenes to make ourselves better people, to make ourselves better leaders. Think of it like an athlete. It's all the drills and the practices between games, the stuff that the fans and the people in the stands don't ever see. And she referred to that as the quiet work, right? The work that we know is necessary, that is going to make us better, that we're not making headlines with. We just got our heads down doing that work. And that's something for me I've been really focused on in this season, of doing the quiet work to make me a better person and a better leader. And that comes from exercising consistently, reading, listening to podcasts, journaling, doing all the things to help myself kind of process where I am and take steps forward and get 1% better every day. So for me, that answer is all about quiet work right now.
Very cool. I like that phrase. Speaking of podcasts, congratulations on the launch of your podcast. I think
Thank you.
you're the main co-host, right? You and Russ?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Podcasting is fun. It can be a lot of work, but it's definitely fun. And I gotta give Josh Liebman and Matt Heller some props in this area because I really think they were the very first in our industry to really go down that pathway. And so I love seeing Creative Works is doing it. I am part of some others that are coming out. So very excited to see that because I am an avid podcast listener. So that's what I spend most of my time listening to versus reading. So Danny, thank you for your time today. I know as you're gearing towards that event, you're probably super busy, even though I cannot stand that word, but busy. And so thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to spend with us. If people want to learn, connect with you, where would you send them? And then I'd want you to also give that website again about where I can find the agenda and registration information for the event.
Sure. So I'll give one. Can I go back to something you just said about the word busy?
Yes.
I also hate that word. And I fully recognize I used that word earlier in this call when I said, everyone, we're all so busy. And I did that on purpose because it's a term that most people use. I don't like it. I've used a different term for myself and has made a big difference. My days are not busy, they're full. Because busy has this kind of baggage that things are chaos and I'm being pulled in 1,000 different directions and I have no plan. But when I consider my days being full, there's a much more positive connotation that I have with that. So that's something that I've really leaned into over time. So just wanted to share that little tidbit.
Because I believe that we sometimes get pulled into a culture of toxic productivity. And in toxic productivity, we are always having to be producing something and doing something. Well, toxic productivity leaves very little time for intentional learning and growth. And for someone who believes in intentional learning and growth of myself and things like that, I hate toxic productivity, whereas I got to have output for every minute of my day. And I don't think we have to have output for every minute of our day. So that's why I dislike the term.
I'm glad we're on the same page. To go back to the question you did ask me, so I would give people 3 different places. If you want to connect with me personally, LinkedIn is a great place to do that, to be able to kind of add me as a connection, send me a message on there. If you want to learn more about Creative Works, you can check out our website at wearecreativeworks.com. And if you want to learn more about the Amusement 360 event, it's amusement360.com. We have, like I said, the event is upcoming on September 19th through the 21st in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we're really excited to see you there.
And on that website, a lot of the agenda is out, but there's still some to be determined. So surprises are still coming.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you again. And I hope everyone goes and checks that out. Wasn't Danny great to spend his time with us and let us know about Amusement 360, which is coming up in September? Remember to go check out the website, amusement360.com. You can see the agenda there and all of the great topics that they're going to be covering that are good for, like you said, existing business owners or up and comers. Whether you're a dreamer in the planning stages or in construction, this is an event that you will definitely walk away with some really great insight and action items. So thank you to Danny for spending his time with us. Thank you to to you for spending your time and to join us and learn more about this industry and how you can grow. Thank you to my 2023 digital sponsors. And then if you have an idea for Think Tank, or if you'd like to be a guest on Think Tank, or if you'd like to sponsor these Think Tank episodes, please contact me, Candi@Trainertainment.net, and we will get you scheduled. So be sure to check out where you can find Trainertainment in real life. All of our upcoming events and appearances can be found at Trainertainment.net. And like I already mentioned in this episode, we will be at Amusement 360. So if you put that on your calendar, you will get to see Trainertainment there. Thank you all, and we'll see you next time.